Ladies and gentlemen, government side was good at providing us the analysis as to why these things or these actions should be considered crimes. But they never told us why these things and these actions should be crimes against humanity. And that's the thing that they failed to prove, ladies and gentlemen, and that's the reason why they lose this debate already. Because ladies and gentlemen, their kinds of characterizations are insults to those who are victimized by genocide and systematic oppression. They're insults, ladies and gentlemen, to the gravity of these crimes, and we're not willing to stand by that. Ladies and gentlemen, no one in this debate, except for closing opposition, has differentiated what makes a crime different from a crime against humanity, and no one told us what happens exactly when you consider these crimes against humanity, except for closing opposition once again. And that's why we take this debate. Ladies and gentlemen, I have two issues for you today. Firstly, on this idea on whether or not these are crimes against humanity to begin with, and number two, let's talk about what they really want, which is to protect humanity and to protect people, and where do we get that best on this side of the house. Ladies and gentlemen, okay, first issue. Number one, they start telling us that, okay, the first analysis as to why this is a crime against humanity is because people's rights are damaged. Other actions, but the question is, ladies and gentlemen, that other actions also damage other people's rights. For instance, theft, ladies and gentlemen, destroys their mobility. But why do we not consider them crimes against humanity? No, thank you. Jacob wanted to give you examples like bank fraud, which harms millions of people, ladies and gentlemen, ruins their financial mobility, but it's not considered a crime against humanity, ladies and gentlemen, because the standard provided exclusively from closing opposition, which is a direct degradation of human rights at the end of the day. But secondly, ladies and gentlemen, there are another analysis, ladies and gentlemen, that they tell us that, it's negligent. That even if they didn't intend to do these things, they were negligent, therefore they should be punished to the greatest extent. Ladies and gentlemen, we say that's a concession. Given that they're negligent, they should be punished with mitigating circumstances already, right? Because if I kill someone based on negligence, ladies and gentlemen, that's not murder, but rather that's homicide. We say no thank you, ladies and gentlemen, when you compare this then to things like genocide, for instance, where they were not negligent, but you can't say that they were negligent to kill these people, but rather they were actively trying to kill and destroy the human rights of other individuals. We say it's not symmetrical and it's not parallel at the end of the day. No thank you. So what happens in this kind of analysis? Thirdly, they tell us that, damage is irreversible. That, we can never reverse the damages done by society or the damages done by the environment. We first question this frame, right? Because you say that it is reversible. There are ways to fix these carbon emissions, for instance. There are ways to take out the pollution from the cities and rivers and all that. But even if it is not irreversible, ladies and gentlemen, other actions like rape and murder are not considered crimes against humanity because we look at the degraded version of these things, right? Because you have to look at the gravity of harm that's to the entire humanity in general, and not just whether or not it's irreversible. Therefore, their standards support the narrative that they are crimes, right? But they do not support the narrative of whether or not they're crimes against humanity. We say, ladies and gentlemen, that it's not only about OGs saying that the crime is for necessity, but rather we'll talk about what did we exactly talk about, right? We told you that we have to realize the harms and the repercussions of these certain actions, and because of that, we'll talk about Jacob's case. But before we move on, yeah. Ladies and gentlemen, again, things like bank fraud also affect a lot of people. But the difference, ladies and gentlemen, is you have to analyze the harm. The reason why we have to differentiate it from things like genocide and all that, and exactly what we're going to talk about right now. No, thank you. Because, ladies and gentlemen, when you have massive destruction, like what Jacob said already, the harm is not necessarily direct, right? Just because people start throwing toxins in the river, for instance, doesn't mean that everybody's human rights or lives are already being degraded. We say, ladies and gentlemen, the fact that there are reparations means that the state concedes that, you can actually repair these kinds of things. But these harms are not absolute, and there's things to the way to fix it. Ladies and gentlemen, we say that we have to compare their harm to our harm, right? But when you look at things like genocide, for instance, you cannot repair these certain things. They have direct harms to individuals, and they have direct harms to the humanity of individuals at the end of the day. And that is what makes the difference, right? Because the crimes against humanity, ladies and gentlemen, it's not about just harming people, it's about gravely harming these individuals at the end of the day. But secondly, they start talking about, we also told you how, companies are not the entire people to be blamed here. No, thank you. This exclusive analysis, again, coming from closing opposition, where we tell you that society also has a part in it. And it's unfair for us to blame these companies for acting under the demands of society, ladies and gentlemen. Because it's unfair to blame these companies, for providing oil to people because people want the oil to begin with. Ladies and gentlemen, we say that's an exclusive analysis. That's why you can't put all the blame on these companies to begin with. Unless you're going to follow their policy, unless you're going to prosecute everyone who bought oil, ladies and gentlemen, we say that policy does not stand. No, thank you. Therefore, we say that that doesn't meet the standards of making crime against humanity, and we already take this debate. But secondly, let's talk about protecting society and protecting humanity in general. Because ladies and gentlemen, they tell us that, there are two substantives here. Firstly, they tell us that we have to prevent further punishment. We question these things, ladies and gentlemen, because we already have safeguards to protect you from these kinds of environmental harms, right? We already can find these people that they do these kinds of humanitarian things. So if they're profit-oriented, right, they're disincentivized to actually do these things to begin with. So we don't understand why adding to make it a crime against humanity will increase this disincentivization. But number two, ladies and gentlemen, we say that they say that punishment is not enough because they can hire lawyers to protect themselves. Ladies and gentlemen, we say that this is not mutually exclusive because even if they crime was a crime against humanity, or we don't crime them as a crime against humanity, they can still hire their lawyers. But more than that, ladies and gentlemen, we say that this added shame, they said that we'll have added shame, right? But we say that they use the shame of other actions that are legitimately crimes against humanity at the end of the day. No, thank you. But secondly, they tell us how we get greater discourse of, humanity because we say that we make it part of our humanity already, and that because of that, we'll start defending it. We say, ladies and gentlemen, that just because it's a crime against humanity doesn't mean everyone will accept it as part of their humanity. Everyone will make it their primary value. But more than that, even if they do, ladies and gentlemen, that's quite harmful because if they love the environment, ladies and gentlemen, so much that all of us become tree huggers, then no one will have any form of development whatsoever. We will never cut down a tree because it's harmful to the environment, which is part of our humanity at the end of the day. So therefore, ladies and gentlemen, their benefits are not even existent. But let's look at what we said, right? Because we tell you that when you start using these things or comparing them as crimes against humanity, you have a desensitization towards these crimes against humanity at the end of the day. Because when you start giving even easier sanctions or less harmful things like environmental destruction as compared to things like genocide, we desensitize people to the shock value of these kinds of crimes at the end of the day, ladies and gentlemen. We say that we make people less likely to condemn the other forms of crimes as well, because the crimes against humanity doesn't really mean anything anymore. Because anything that violates human rights or anything that harms a lot of people is already a crime against humanity at the end of the day. So ladies and gentlemen, we have proven to you coming exclusively from closing opposition that their policies are only not necessary, but it's harmful to protecting society in general. And because of that, ladies and gentlemen, Savior 8 takes this debate. Thank you.
Yeah.